We've seen plenty of Asgardian deities in the MCU, but Thor: Love and Thunder could be the perfect time to introduce Mount Olympus and all of the insanely powerful characters who call it home. I've talked a lot about how the Avengers roster is looking empty these days, but let's just take a moment to reflect on the heavy losses Asgard has suffered. It's not too surprising, considering all of Asgard was destroyed by a massive fire demon, and slapping the word new in front of Asgard really didn't help fix anything. We've said goodbye to Odin, Heimdall, the Warriors 3, and Loki. Well, kind of. This trickster god is a bit of a question mark until we get to see his show on Disney+, but for now he's not a part of the primary Asgardian pantheon. What I'm trying to say is that we're overdue for more of the powerful gods to join the MCU, and the pickings in New Asgard are pretty slim. This could be an awesome opportunity to bring in some of the many Greek gods who exist in both traditional mythology and the pages of Marvel Comics. If only Disney could find a ridiculously good-looking actor who's well-versed in action films and has experience bringing a comic book character to the big screen. Oh wait, they actually did that by reportedly hiring former Batman Christian Bale to appear in Thor: Love and Thunder. As soon as the rumor of Bale's involvement began, people automatically started speculating about what part he could play in the film. But he's in talks to play an alien being described as otherworldly, and there are rumors that he isn't going to be one of the good guys. Yes, sign me up. One popular fan theory right now is that Bale will be taking on the role of Ares, the god of war. Even if you're not current on ancient Greek myths, you've probably heard of Ares, who is one of the most well-known deities in this particular pantheon. Ares is also a character in Marvel Comics, and he's just as ruthless and ambitious as you'd expect. He's the son of Zeus and Hera, and when his dad decides humans don't have to worship them anymore, Ares disagrees pretty strongly. Way back in the day, there was a lot of fighting over the throne of Olympus, and you probably won't be surprised to learn that the passing of time didn't improve Ares' disposition. In his defense, he is the god of war, so expecting him to not fight is like asking Loki to stop playing tricks on his brother, or asking Thor to stop throwing lightning bolts around. At a time when peace in the MCU is so precarious, what we really need is an ultra-powerful villain who brings out the worst in mankind. Well, that's what we need story-wise, but I have a feeling Ares showing up wouldn't bode well for some of our favorite characters. But the good news is that there are plenty of gods out there who might be less dangerous to have around. And the question of how they'd be introduced into the MCU could be a lot easier to answer than you might think. In the real world, Mount Olympus is the highest mountain in Greece, and according to mythology, it's where the gods lived. All the better to loom over all of the puny humans, I guess. But in the comics, Mount Olympus isn't just an exponentially tall mountain, it's the location of a wormhole leading to an interdimensional realm. Suddenly, mountain climbing sounds a lot more exciting, huh? This pocket dimension is known as Olympus, and it's actually quite similar to Asgard but filled with different gods. The humans living in the MCU didn't realize that Asgard existed until fairly recently, so it wouldn't be surprising to learn that there's another world filled with powerful warriors. Bringing Greek gods into the MCU wouldn't be difficult, and we could get a hint that it's coming at some point in the Eternals. We know this movie's going to take us way back into the MCU's history, so it's not crazy to suggest we could see a few ancient deities lurking around. Let's face it, a pocket dimension located on top of a mountain is far from the weirdest thing we've seen in the MCU. There are tons of great new gods who could be added to the MCU, and my top pick is Hercules. Hercules is the son of Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmena. This makes him Ares' half-brother and makes Zeus a real piece of work. The relationship between Hercules and Ares would be interesting to explore in the MCU. Plus, when Hera sent a couple of snakes to assassinate a baby Hercules, he took them out with his bare hands. So Loki definitely won't want to try the classic turn into a snake trick around him. It's probably going to backfire if he does. During the Infinity Saga, we got to experience the rivalry between Thor and Star-Lord. But unfortunately, it seems like their big screen stories will take them in other directions. So why not bring Hercules into the MCU, considering how complicated things are between them in the comic books? He and Thor have fought side by side as allies, but they're also major rivals as well. If Loki and Star-Lord aren't going to be hanging around with Thor anymore, Hercules could play a similar role. Sure, Thor and Hercules are both heroes, but that doesn't mean they don't have the urge to pummel one another from time to time. Outside of the comic book canon, there's been some controversy surrounding the character of Hercules. He's known for being a bit of a womanizer, but it's possible that not all of his exes were women. It was implied that he was once involved with openly gay character Northstar, and oh yeah, he fell in love with Wolverine. Okay, so that was on an alternate timeline, but still. However, many fans have accused Marvel of being inconsistent with regards to Hercules' preferences. Introducing him into the MCU as a bisexual character would definitely show that Marvel Studios is actually following through on their promises of being inclusive. If Hercules and Ares are going to be joining the MCU, then it only seems natural that Zeus and Hera will as well. In addition to being a bit of a philanderer, Zeus is also the ruler of Olympus and the other gods. Hera doesn't exactly have the happiest marriage, which could explain why she's not always the nicest character. In the comics, she abused her powers, allied with Norman Osborn, and generally has not been the best queen. Considering that New Asgard is, well, quite new, and Valkyrie is still learning how to rule, it would be interesting to see her cope with a potential Olympian influence. The Greek gods could be powerful allies of the remaining Asgardians, or they could be their enemies. Ares is known for being the god of war, but his half-sister Athena also has war covered in her job description. While Ares is impulsive and vicious, Athena is much more calculated and brings an amount of wisdom and tactical expertise to the table that her half-brother simply doesn't. She's one of the many children of Zeus, and she's been known to be an ally of Hercules. When Thor's surprise sister showed up in Asgard, it didn't exactly have a happy ending. But Athena could actually help defend against her brother Ares thanks to her personality and power. She could be an ally to the Asgardians and maybe something more to Valkyrie, huh? After all, actress Tessa Thompson did say that Valkyrie needs to find her queen. Since it looks like things in the MCU are going to start getting spookier with films like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it might not be a bad idea to introduce someone like Hades. He's Zeus's brother and the ruler of the Underworld, which he wants to fill up with as many souls as possible. But just because he spends his days surrounded by shades doesn't mean he's stuffy. In fact, he once posed as a movie producer and tricked Hercules into signing a contract making him the new ruler of his realm. If he joins the MCU, Loki just might have some competition for the most clever god. Hades is not only smart, he's immensely powerful, and he and his realm would make amazing additions to the MCU. Obviously, there's no shortage of Greek gods to choose from, and going through the whole pantheon can easily take all day. So let's talk about some great godlike characters that aren't pulled straight from the Greek or Norse pantheons. Sticking with spooky characters for a bit, there's Amatsu Mikabushi, a primordial being who was imprisoned in the underworld for all eternity. When Asgard fell, the Chaos King decided to take over Olympus and then carve his way all through the other pantheons. It's hard to find characters that can pose a compelling threat to Olympus, but the Chaos King could definitely fulfill this role. Then there's Mephisto, who is really more of a demon, but he does rule a very unpleasant pocket dimension. His is exactly the kind of universe I'd love to see highlighted in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So he's one of my top picks for comic book characters to join the MCU. As you can probably tell by looking at him, Mephisto isn't the nicest guy around, and is particularly interested in bringing down the Silver Surfer. He's also had Thor banished to his realm, crossed paths with Doctor Strange, and tried to steal the power of the Beyonder, just to name a few of his various misdeeds. Since the MCU is getting more magical thanks to heroes like Doctor Strange, and presumably the Eternals, this would be a great time for Mephisto to make an appearance in the MCU. Needless to say, introducing all of these new characters and their respective universes might make things a little bit complex. But let's throw another variable in the pile by adding the Living Tribunal to the lineup. This cosmic entity has been around as long as the universe itself, and its job is to watch over the multiverse and ensure that mystical forces don't tip too far one way or the other. He's all about the balance of good and evil, and unlike other characters, there is only one Living Tribunal. You can search the multiverse and not find another one, although he can appear in multiple places at the same time. Hey, you don't get to be Guardian of the Multiverse without having some sweet superpowers. In addition to being able to twin with himself, the Living Tribunal has the potential to obliterate entire planets. He's the personification of the entire multiverse, and not even the Infinity Stones can touch him. The Living Tribunal is an epically powerful character, and as the multiverse keeps growing and expanding, it might not be a bad idea to incorporate a character who could help to maintain order. The first three phases of Marvel movies were mostly small-scale stories taking place on planet Earth. Yes, we did have the Guardians of the Galaxy films and Doctor Strange to shake things up, but the Infinity Saga definitely took things to the next level. Since the stakes have been raised, Disney should add more ultra-powerful characters to the mix. I'm not asking for us to totally forget about other human heroes on Earth, but what's the point in having a multiverse and other timelines if we don't get to see things get crazy? Come on, let's get crazy. The Asgardian gods have been popular characters since they were first introduced, but let's not forget about all the other pantheons out there to choose from. Whether they end up being friend or foe, there's no doubt characters like Hercules would definitely shake things up in the MCU. I think it's about time to introduce myth into the MCU, but which other characters do you want to see in Love and Thunder? Share your picks and predictions with us in the comment section, and don't forget to click subscribe for more videos from CBR. Thanks for watching.